Hello and welcome to Our View, brought to you by the proud members of the Washington Federation of State Employees. A Labor Day picnic in Lewis County brought together families from several different unions in several counties. According to a Labor Council leader, this coming together also is an indication of future success for workers and local economies.
This particular picnic I'm really proud of because of the fact that we have Talitha up here today as our guest, and they're working with us. And I think what that stands for is it's development of a regional economy. We're talking about decent wage jobs in the whole region. And so if you look at what could take place in the next number of years here, is we have a lot of migration of the jobs coming from the Seattle-Tacoma, Seattle area, Soda District, and several others are shutting down and becoming more urbanized. And as they become more urbanized, the industrial jobs have to come someplace. And we think that we have the land in this area to facilitate that. But we in the labor movement need to make darn sure that we keep these jobs family wage jobs. Make sure that we bring companies in here that can afford to pay a family wage. Organized labor continues to strive for building communities. Strong communities are built with good solid wage base and good benefit basis. And if you take a look at the state workers, for instance, we've struggled long and hard to make sure that they have collective bargaining within the state jobs. I think it's going to make a real difference in the lives and the futures of those families. And I think if we look at the long term, a family that can have a decent wages and decent hours then can participate in the family atmosphere. And business has to survive if labor is going to survive. And as Rick Bender, the president of the Washington State Labor Council, says, we're not in business to break business. We're in a business to help business make a decent buck and a decent return on the investment. But if we look at a regional economy, and that's why I'm so thrilled that other labor councils have participated today, is if we look at a regional economy, there are many, many strengths that each segment of this region has. And we need to start feeding off of each other's strengths to build this regional economy. And it's no longer just Lewis County or just Mason or just Thurston. It's what the attributes of each one of those counties can contribute to each other to build a regional strength and build this economy. And I think that's where we're going to compete on the world market. For instance, if you look at Grays Harbor, and you look at the Port of Olympia, and you look at the ports down here in Lewis County and the land availability we have, building on each other's strengths, I think we can build this economy and create good paying jobs for 50 years into the future.
Part of any union staff is the organizer. But to reach every workplace, members need to volunteer for this important outreach. A Federation member gives her otherwise free time to organizing and says it's an important part of her life.
The reason I do this is because I care about people. I care about what goes on within our community. I care about what goes on in the workforce place. And it doesn't matter to me what your job classification is. What matters to me is people. And people being treated equally, respectfully, and with dignity. That's the reason why I do it. What I do get out of it is being able to help other people. And I'm a people person, and I care about people. And what I want to do is make the workforce better, better solidarity for brothers and sisters is interlocal. And this is their future generation. Eventually, I will be retiring, but I want to leave a legacy so somebody else can have a better future, so our children can have a better future, our grandchildren, our great-grandchildren. And that's what I get out of it, making a better unity for everyone. Human rights is always a big thing for me because, like I said, everybody should be treated with dignity and respect regardless what your job classes are. The reason why I do the volunteer work because I care about people and I want us to have a strong local throughout the state of Washington, and the more powerful we are as we come together as a team, the more powerful we will be able to be as a team. And I think that's really important, and everybody's on the same sheet of music. Sometimes you're not always on the same sheet or going the same path, but I think if you go on the same path, you'll be more experienced, for one thing, you'll be more knowledgeable, for another thing, and you'll be more better as a unity. And that's the final thing, being together as a unity and solidarity.
The United Nurses of America, part of AFSMCE, recently held their convention and got the message that nursing involves a lot more than a good heart.
by coming together and by talking with each other and learning from people from all over the country and from all different aspects of nursing, you'll really feel when you leave a little more empowered than you did when you got here.
Empowerment is having nurses put together agreed in agenda that they want to be pushed, like good working conditions, good staffing, recruitment, and that's very important that we are together, because with strength we can do a lot of things.
Respect on the job, that means the patient has confidence in you, your doctors have confidence in you to do your work, and your peers have confidence in you so that they respect you and know that you're going to be behind them when they need you.
I'm going to just say it like it is, because it is not your caring that matters, it's your competence that matters. It is not your caring that saves our lives. It's not what's in your heart that saves our lives. It's what's in your brains that saves our lives. You have to talk more about what's in your brain and less about what's in your heart, because they can find folks out there with good hearts, right, who'll do it for free.
Oh, I think it's very important that we stand up and represent ourselves and let the people know that we are an important factor in the care that they receive.
The union has brought a tremendous amount of power and leverage that we have used. We have developed a lot of programs to help interpersonal relationships between the nursing staff, the medical staff, PCTs, to bring unity, to empower ourselves.
We at Kaiser Fontana belong to the partnership. And belonging to the partnership, we share joint responsibility in making decisions on how the organization runs. Also, we share joint responsibility of the care of our patients.
It's up to us to ensure that people are getting the care they need, and let's not be pushed around by companies that are just trying to make a profit. We have to take our patients' considerations first. They're number one, we're their advocates, and we can make a difference.
Yeah, the union unifies us. It gives us more empowerment with the dignity, and then they give us our role, trust, and the support from the local to national levels.
When we come forward with our union behind us, they don't just see us, they see our union, and they realize that we're there for business.
It's just motivated me to become more involved in my union. I can tell you right now that being an active participant will only improve what your union can do for you.
With our weak dollar, America is now for sale and a bargain for European and other foreign interests. John Evans of TUAC sees European companies quickly adopting U.S. labor attitudes when they come here, which isn't good for workers. But there is pressure being applied.
The problem we've seen is many of those brands on the European side, which are relatively acceptable employers, if I can put it in those terms, in Europe, who have a European Works Council. They negotiate with their workers and their workers' unions here. They consult with the Works Council. They observe employment law here, and very often, as often as not, would have high unionization rates. When they go to the US, they indulge in exactly the same kind of union busting that you'd see from some of the worst US employers. Now, what we try to do by using instruments like the OECD guidelines on multinationals is to use that as a point of pressure, because the guidelines basically state that companies should observe decent labor standards worldwide in their operations, that we can use that as a point of pressure on the companies to draw light, to actually turn a light on what their subsidiaries or indeed their management is doing in some US plants. There's plenty of examples we've had from US companies or from French companies investing in Alabama in the mining area, in calcium carbide mines, and some examples where we've seen some of the worst union busting activity, which when real pressure is put on through international campaigns using the OECD guidelines, they've had to change policy, get rid of their local management, and I can see sites now, facilities, where there are now 95% unionization rates as a result of some of that direct action. So clearly some of that can work to actually draw attention to the home company of the risk to their reputation if they do the worst management practices.
With a look at our union history, here's Ross Rieder.
On October 30th, 1916, 41 members of the Industrial Workers of the World arrived in Everett from Seattle on the regular passenger run of the steamer Verona. They were met at the dock by the county sheriff and friends, loaded in waiting cars, and driven in the twilight to a road near Beverly Park, near the Puget Power substation off Beverly Boulevard. The men were run through a merciless gauntlet of 200 men swinging sawed-off cue sticks, axe handles, and other clubs. That race for life ended at a cattle guard. The bloodied free speechers took a collection to get the worst injured back to Seattle on the interurban rail system existing at that time. The rest walked the 25 miles to tell their story the next day. That was the final straw for Everett union leaders and the Wobblies. The IWW free speech campaign in support of striking shingle weavers had taken enough beatings. Everett union leaders called for a mass meeting to take place at Speaker's Corner, the corner of Hewitt and Wetmore in downtown Everett, the following Sunday, November 5th. Some of the victims of the Beverly Park beating were invited to attend. Posters of the meeting were plastered all over town, and thousands were expected to attend. They did, and they witnessed the Everett Massacre of November 5, 1916.
This has been Our View, the voice of Washington's working families. We remind you, when you accept a paycheck for your hard work, you don't give up your rights. Thank you for watching.